Hello and welcome. This presentation is for those who've applied to the Carpenter's Apprenticeship or the Insulator Applicator Apprenticeship program. The application process comes in two parts. The first part is viewing this presentation completely. After watching this presentation, you should have a general idea if this is going to be a good fit for you, because in the presentation you're going to see what is expected of an apprentice, and then also what is expected on the job site, what is expected of you on the job site, your performance, your skills. If this is not the right choice for you, please let us know. If it is, then you'll receive an email from us that lets you know when you're going to attend our trade orientation, at what time. When you come to attend the trade orientation, we need to have you wear work clothes and work boots, no tennis shoes or sandals. You must have good solid shoes on, boots on. Face masks are going to be worn the whole time you're at the trade orientation. You're also going to get your temperature checked. You're going to be tested on skills that you need to have to work out in the field. Skills that we use every single day. There will be a math test. There's 20 questions on that math test. We use math every day, and we have to know how to add, subtract fractions. For the hands-on assessment, you're going to be evaluated on lifting material. There's going to be reading a tape measure, so there's 20 measurements. I would recommend that before your time to come in for the hands-on, that you actually go to rulergame.net. That is where you can practice reading a tape measure. You can test yourself to see how well you're doing. After the hands-on assessment, you will be given a score by email or phone call, and then we will be calling you in to come in for an interview. Remember, we are looking for people who are self-motivated, they have a can-do attitude, and they're willing to learn. They need to show up every single day. But also remember that after attending the hands-on evaluation, you are not an apprentice. You have to wait for the interview process. Minimum qualifications for entering the apprenticeship. You must be at least 18 years old. If you have a parental consent, you can join at age 17. It is recommended that you have a high school diploma or a GED. It is not required, but it's just highly recommended. This job, whether you're a carpenter or an insulator, they're both very physical jobs. And so you have to be able to climb, work from ladders, climb scaffolding, work at heights over long periods of time, 8 hours a day, maybe 12 hours a day. You have to be able to carry 50 pounds or more, and including your tool belt that you'll be wearing, that's probably about 30 pounds. All applicants must pass a drug test. We take this seriously, and we want you to also. We'll test you for entering the apprenticeship program, and your contractor will also test you. You could be in this for as long as myself, 30 years, and you still get drug tested for every job that you go to. You will not be able to get on a job site if you do not pass a drug test. If you do not pass a drug test, you are not going to get into the Carpenter's Apprenticeship or the Insulator's Apprenticeship program. So take this seriously. Plan accordingly. If you want to make this a career, you will definitely not be doing any of those drugs. Even medical marijuana, that it's not acceptable. We get tested for that, and there is not enough research to allow companies to make a good decision whether or not you can use it or not. So right now we're just saying no. All applicants must attend a trade orientation. At the trade orientation, you will be evaluated on your skills. This is your chance to shine. You will have to read 20 measurements in 90 seconds. You'll have to use a hammer, screw gun. You can maneuver material through an obstacle course, lift material, plywoods. Let's see what you're made of. Let's see if this is what you want to do. And remember that as you go through this presentation, you're trying to decide if this is going to be a good fit for you. When you attend the physical part at the trade orientation, that's when we're going to try to decide if you are a good fit for us. Are you going to make it? While you're waiting to get into the carpenters or the insulators, you might want to Google them. Go on the web see what we do, see what kind of construction work insulators do, what carpenters do. You have to be able to make a decision to find out if this is going to work for you. Some of the tasks that we do, maybe working in tight quarters is not going to work. Working at heights may not work. What about the rain? What about the heat? Find out what we do. We lift a lot of heavy equipment, a lot of heavy material. We're on our knees a lot. We're bending over a lot. As you can see in this picture, there's a lot of reaching, extending. Are you flexible enough? Is this going to work for you? Also, when working at heights, it is required to be tied off, which means you have to wear a body harness while you're tied off. That's extra gear that you have to wear. That could add up to an additional 20 pounds, including the tool belt that you're wearing that probably already weighs 30 pounds. So you got to be able to get through the day, perform the tasks, stay focused, and stay safe. You know, this picture says a lot. It says a lot about the Northwest. We work in the rain. We work in the wind, the snow, the heat. And during the rainy season, you'll be wearing rain gear. And when you put that rain gear on, now you're a little more restricted because you've got your tool belt on or your body harness on, so it's restricting your movement. It's not comfortable. You get tired by the end of the day. During the summer, when it's really hot, just staying hydrated can be a challenge for many. There may not be any airflow where you're working. It's hot, you're sweating, your skin's burning. And again, I must remind you that you're going to have your 30-pound tool belt on. You got to ask yourself, can I do this? Am I willing to do this? It's an 8-hour day. Maybe it's a 10-hour day. Okay. You know, construction can be for anyone who has a good attitude. And that attitude has to be, I can do it. They can work along with others. They're willing to teach others. They're willing to learn from others that may not have as much experience, but maybe they do in another area. We all come from different backgrounds. We have more knowledge to share than we realize. As a construction worker, you need to take care of yourself, which means getting plenty of rest and eating well so your body can refuel from the hard day's work. And you have to be ready to go to work the very next day, right? Repeat. Do it all over again and again. We're looking for people who are dependable, that show up for work every day on time, and on time means being early. They communicate with their employer and the training center if they're not going to make it in. Communication is key to your success in the trades. We need to know if you're having difficulties making it into training. We need to know if you're working or not. We're here to help you find jobs and be successful. Support from your family might mean that they have to help you with your childcare. They need to support you as being a carpenter or an insulator. The wages and the benefits we receive allow for you to afford anything for your family. As I said, construction is for anyone who has a good attitude. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how small you are, how strong you are. I've seen strong people not make it in this industry. I'm only like 5'3", maybe 125 pounds, but I'm a bridge builder and I seem to do okay. I've been very successful at my job. You just have to have the right attitude. Show up every day. Be safe. Be on time. Work as a team. Try to learn as much as you can. You're there to make the employer money, and if the employer's making money, you're making money. And the way you're making the money is because they continually want you on their projects because you are on the A team. You know, we work on some pretty cool projects out here in the Northwest, and we take pride in everything we do. I mean, there's still times that go by some bridges, and I'm still telling my kids about the bridges that I worked on. I've got my name up there, or some part of it. Everybody, no matter what part they play on a project, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to share that with people. They're going to because they take pride in everything that they do. Now you're going to take a moment and you're going to watch a video. It's one trade, many crafts, and you're going to see the different crafts that we do as carpenters. You've got your general carpenter, your interior systems, your millwrights, pile drivers, insulators, and scaffold erectors. Take a look what they do in this video and see if that's something that you would be interested in.
You like to work with your hands. And work with your brains, too. You build with pride. You're looking to build a successful career as a skilled craftsman. So look to the Carpenters Union. There, you'll find a craft that's the perfect fit for you. As a member of the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, you'll join other men and women who are the most productive and skilled craftsmen in the construction industry. It's about getting the job right the first time. Working safe. Jobs coming in, on, or ahead of schedule. And on budget. Carpenter productivity helps our contractors stay competitive, which means we get more work. That means a better, more secure future for you and your family. To take full advantage of this opportunity, you need to know about what crafts our union has to offer. When we think of carpentry, what comes to mind? Swinging a hammer? Measuring? Cutting? Drilling? Sure. We do these jobs, but the UBC is comprised of other highly skilled crafts that are well suited to your talents and abilities. Residential carpenters build homes, apartments, and condominiums. Working in specialized crews, we build the foundation forms, frame up walls, erect the roof trusses. We do much of the flooring and finish work too. Besides working with wood, we have to be on top of the new methods and materials coming out all the time. UBC carpenters also work the big jobs: highway construction, bridges, and water projects. We build concrete forms for high-rises. Our crews place 40-ton panels for commercial buildings, sometimes 10 or 15 in a day. On some work sites, we install the roof systems spanning millions of square feet. We build with our brains, too. Union carpenters read plans and know how to work closely with the other trades. Many times, we're the ones running the work as lead carpenters, foremen, and superintendents. You can already see that our trade is more than working with wood or swinging a hammer. So what else do we have to offer? If you want a challenging outdoor job, maybe you want to be a pile driver. Pile drivers can be seen working on bridges or along the waterfront repairing docks and building wharves. Our craft performs large-scale and deep foundation work. We make sure all the piles drive home plumb and true. A pile driver has to be ready to do anything that's needed. Climb 30 or 40 feet to fix the rig. Do rough carpentry, weld, or cut steel or iron. Some of our experienced pile drivers are certified to dive underwater to make repairs. Today, we're even experimenting with one-man submersibles to go where needed. Pile drivers have a tough job, but nobody loves it more or does it better. So far, you've seen how hard carpenters work outdoors, but you'll find a lot of action inside too. Interior systems carpenters work in a tough, competitive market. Users and tenants want to occupy their office space ASAP. When it comes to interior systems, union carpenters have to be on top of their game. We're the best in the business because we do more than hang drywall. We do layout, cut and frame the metal studs. When the walls are up, we do the taping too. Our drywall mechanics work productively with no wasted effort. Interior systems carpenters also install doors and hardware. We do all the finished carpentry in today's modern building. As a union carpenter, you'll gain a thorough understanding of special tools and materials. Precision and attention to detail will be a part of your skill set. UBC floor layers are a good example of this level of skill. We're professionals who work to the highest standard. We install hardwood flooring, carpeting, vinyl sheet stock, or tile. We work with an eye for perfection, whether it's a large installation or intricate floor designs. We have to be meticulous because exacting contractors, users, designers, and architects demand flawless work. When we finish a job, we know it's done right with no callbacks. Commercial buildings often use aesthetically pleasing surfaces and architectural forms. Lathers build the reinforced substructure for these plaster and stucco finishes. We are master craftsmen who work mostly with metal mesh and tie wire. Lathers use a variety of hand and portable power tools. A lot of our work is on scaffolding. Some projects demand that we cover the sides of large, multi-story buildings. Our trade also requires working with curves and freeform shapes. Sometimes we provide the framework for ornate walls and ceilings. The results can be spectacular. In talking about impressive, high-end work, how would you like to be a carpenter making the millwork going into the finest commercial and residential buildings? That's the work of UBC mill cabinet craftsmen. We shape and craft all manner of specialty woodwork. A mill cab professional works with solid wood, laminates, and other materials. We use time-honored tools as well as computer-controlled machines to turn out top-quality products. Mill cab is a great choice if you like precise, detailed work. UBC millwrights are also well acquainted with precision.
Now this is C, 10-inch, 16 thousandths.
Our work involves tolerances within a thousandth of an inch. Millwrights work in North America's biggest industries. Our job is to install and align heavy machinery like motors, conveyors, pumps, compressors, and giant turbines. When a plant has an outage or shutdown, we're in there to make the repairs efficiently and get operations up and running. Delays can cost the manufacturer millions of dollars in lost output. Communities need lights and power restored as soon as possible. Millwrights use mechanical and high-precision tools. We do layout, rigging, erecting, and fabrication too. We're experts with a torch and even make parts when we need to.
I-0.
Often our tools are pencil and paper. Union millwrights have to know their math to calculate alignments or determine how well a mechanical system is operating. How you gain your carpenter skills is through UBC training,
If you're not putting a ridge
the best in the industry. Your local training center is committed to help you reach your goals as a carpenter. Once you finish your 4-year apprenticeship and become a journeyman, your training doesn't stop there. Our union continually offers certifications and journeyman upgrades so you can advance in your chosen craft and stay on top of our changing industry.
So you put the mat.
Some of you will go on to become lead carpenters and foremen. Your local training center has special courses designed to help you step up to these new responsibilities. The International Training Center in Las Vegas demonstrates the UBC's commitment to advancing its members' skills. Here, the UBC generates new programs, trains instructors for our 250 local training centers, and delivers the most comprehensive training in the industry. Working with our union contractors, we've developed the Superintendent Career Training Program, that prepares talented individuals to oversee and manage productive work sites. As a union carpenter, you have challenging crafts to choose from and the training to go with it. You're in a tough, competitive industry, so it's up to your efforts on the job to determine your success and ours. The United Brotherhood of Carpenters.
Now that you've had an opportunity to see what we do as carpenters or the different crafts under the carpenters, as you look at these photos, would you want to work with metal studs? Would you like to be an interior systems carpenter? And then that's the program you need to apply for. These other two photos are of pile drivers and carpenters. As a pile driver, you'll learn to weld and you'll work over water, possibly. You'll definitely be working on bridges. As carpenters, you could be working on bridges. You could be working inside a building, putting up the millwork, installing cabinets. We also have floor covers. That is something that a general carpenter may do, or a lad's apprentice or lad's carpenter. You've got, again, pile drivers. Just as a picture of them welding. Could you weld all day long? Is that something you have a lot of passion for? Do you have the patience for something like that? As far as divers go, we don't have a lot of divers, but that's out of the pile drivers program. And if you could supplement your diving with your pile driving and form building as a carpenter pile driver, you'll probably be employed 100% of the time. And general carpenters, remember that just looking at this guy here, he's got his hard hat on, his safety glasses. He's using his skill saw. You can see his tool belt. He's probably got, hopefully, I don't think you can see his earplugs, but you may have to have them. I know that when I was working out in the field, just the noise would drive me crazy, and I wouldn't be able to even hardly talk to my family because it just stressed me out. So that's something you want to take care of. You've heard of carpenters not having their hearing later in life. It's because they didn't take care of it. They didn't wear the earplugs. Remember, safety first. In this other picture, you see a pile driver climbing the leads. This is something I used to actually do when I was an apprentice. I was a pile driver for, probably about 10 years. So I've driven a lot of piling, wood piling, concrete piling in the Seattle area. They have to climb the lead to grease the shivs up there, or the grease fittings. Or maybe he's climbing up there to see if there's a problem and he's doing some troubleshooting. So you ask yourself, is this really something you want to do? I mean, in that picture, it's a nice sunny day. It could be raining sideways and the wind's blowing, right? Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of being a union member. Well, we know the pay is good. We all make the same pay if we're a first period apprentice, second period apprentice, or a journeyman. That is the one thing that's we all love. We don't have to negotiate our wages every time we get onto a new job. We know that if I'm a third period apprentice, I go from one job to a new one, new company even, I'm still going to receive that same pay. Our health benefits. After you've been working 3-4 months in the industry, your benefits will kick in for your whole entire family by the 5th month. You don't have to pay anything for that. They're already covered. I've had 2 children, and I believe our insurance is covered. You know, my husband has insurance too, so we've covered that for 100% of the time. The dual insurance does help, but the carpenters just alone have really good benefits. It is a dollar banking system, which means for every hour that you work, you earn benefits towards your health insurance. So if you are continually working, you will always have benefits. After you've gotten your first raise in the apprenticeship, now you're a second period, that's when contractors start putting into a retirement plan. After 3 years, you are vested, so that pension becomes yours. It's definitely yours for when you go to retire. Our education, it doesn't cost anything. Well, in a sense, it doesn't cost anything. You do have to work, and for every carpenter that works, they put in under $1 an hour into the apprenticeship fund. That means the material you're practicing on, the tools that you're using, we all own those. It costs you your time when you come to class, and it's not going to cost you anything out of your pocket to actually attend class. Membership in the Brotherhood. So once you have joined the apprenticeship, you also must join the local union. You have to pay your dues monthly to the union. If you do not pay your dues, I'll just let you know that you could be suspended, and if you're suspended from the union, then you're not going to be able to get a union job. We do have a payment plan, monthly payment plan that you can get on to keep you in good standing. Remember, we pay dues so that we all have the same wage, we all have good benefits. There's a reason why we are a union. It's so that we can continue to bargain as one whole unit instead of individually each bargaining for their own wage. You know, for safety, safety is number one in our industry. You go to the job site, you want to work safe, tie off, wear your safety glasses, have your hard hat and gloves, make sure you're prepared, you're all rested up. If you complete your job safely, then that means you get to go home the same way that you went to the job site. Our training center is no different than your job site. You need to practice what you've been doing on the job site. Bring it to school. You are going to wear a hard hat, safety glasses. Nowadays with this COVID, you're going to be wearing a face mask. We want you to go home safe to your family. Benefits, we've already talked a little bit about the benefits and how you accrue them. Like I said earlier, you'll get them in your 5th month. And we do have journeyman upgrade classes, which means that once you become a journeyman, if you find that you need to get a refresher, then you can take another class. Maybe you need another concrete class or a finish class, or maybe you want to carry on with your welding. You can do that. And again, it's all free. You know, an apprenticeship is a time for learning. Learning begins with observation. In an apprenticeship, you get time to observe and participate in a skilled trade over a period of time. You become highly skilled and valuable. I usually say that being an apprentice is being like a little kid. When you realize that this is something that you really want to do, you become a sponge. You're willing to learn. You're absorbing everything there is around you and what you can do to be the best carpenter, the best insulator. Now we're going to watch a video about some carpenters in Western Washington, and they're going to describe the bad, the ugly, and the good experiences you can expect as a carpenter apprentice in the construction industry. And even though it says carpenters, insulators is the same thing. You could be outside, you could be inside. It's hard to say, but no matter what, there's always going to be some good, some bad, and some really ugly stuff in your career as a construction worker.
Hi, I'm Steve with the Carpenters Employers Apprenticeship Training Trust. You know, making a career decision can be tough, but with the right information, you can make the right decision. So we asked a few apprentices what their take was on the Carpenters Apprenticeship Training Program. Here's what they had to say.
Toughest thing would probably be the flexibility. So right now I'm doing swing shift, so you know my shift isn't a 9 to 5. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, and I'll get off at 10:30 at night, or then I'll have to do a 16-hour shift the next day, start at 4. So it's definitely takes up all your extra time, especially living in Tacoma, going to Seattle and back. You're racking up the miles on your car. Sometimes you can't do carpool.
Well, the toughest thing for me is in Washington State, you're gonna have about 5 months minimum where you're working in shit weather, and it's just awful. Just constantly raining, wet, the ground's sloppy, you're muddy all the time. You gotta have rain gear on all the time. And if you're trying to climb a wall in rain gear, it just makes you stiff. I mean, it's some miserable conditions for about 5 months out of the year. It's pretty tough.
The toughest thing of being an apprentice is just earning your spot on the job and being able to get recommended or referred to another job that's coming up.
You're gonna get screamers in the field, you're gonna get guys that are pretty cool and chill, but you're gonna have to, just like you said, thick skin. I mean, I've had my first job, I mean, I got swore at about every other word, you know, and I was just like, whoa, first job, don't know what I'm doing, you know, but you're just gonna have to learn to just keep self-confidence up and just keep going with it. It's just...
At the site, we have about 7 or 8 people that are building right now, and as we're building, everybody has their own idea of what should be happening. So it's like you run into a lot of conflict because some people have a tendency to take it personal. It's a little difficult.
The toughest part about this whole program? Probably having to work under a journeyman that doesn't know everything about that particular task. But you have to do whatever he says because he's the journeyman.
Okay.
I think the toughest thing is not knowing how long a project is going to last, you know. So I get the anxieties from just, you know, worrying about when my next project, where it's going to be.
Toughest thing for me is being away from my family, and then when I do get home, I'm usually so exhausted, you know, don't want to take them to do things that I would usually do, like go to the park on the weekend. I just kind of just want to lay around and just sleep.
Heights are something you're gonna have to deal with out there. They're no matter what you do, whether you're on a 40-story, a 1-story, a 2-story, whatever it is, you know, it scares you the first couple times, but you're either gonna get used to it or you're not gonna last.
Yeah, if you don't like heights, you're not gonna be very happy. A lot of the times you'll be on the leading edge of a building, you know, you're harnessed up, but you know, there was a kid not that long ago that was working on the overpass, hooked to a yo-yo. 21, fell off, thought he was using the appropriate gear, and ended up dying. Failed equipment.
Yeah, I think that networking can almost be as important or sometimes even more important than your work ethic on a job. You know, it's super important. If guys like you, if you can get along with people, which is sometimes the toughest part, making friends, that can be more important than really your work ethic.
Talking to other apprentices about their experiences, getting their numbers, you know, you're having a bad day, you can call up one of your buddies and be like, hey man, this and this happened to me today, you know, what would you do? So it's always fun to have that outlet. You know?
I would say journeyman carpenters will respect a person on your work ethic, how hard you work, and just shutting up and doing your work and letting your work speak for itself.
They're not going to keep you on the job if you're not being productive, you know. So, I mean, every day I go to work, I push hard and I work hard, you know. And
you know, I always try and keep a positive attitude, even if it's crappy. I try, because people feed off your energy, and I'm a strong believer in that. You know, you make the best out of the situation that you're in.
And yeah, and that goes hand in hand with it. You want a good work ethic and a good attitude. If you have a bad attitude, you're going to get laid off and you're not going to be working. I see it all the time. Apprentices come in and there's a certain way that journeymen want to treat you, and they want you to accept that. And if you just don't accept it, they'll just get rid of you. So you definitely have to have a good attitude.
Attitude in general is just, you gotta have a positive attitude. You're gonna have a shitty day, pretty much. It just usually depends on the day, but the weather sometimes has a lot to do with your attitude. Just get past it, you know.
It's gotten me through. I'm on my 3rd job right now that it's like 60 hours a week, 8 on Saturday, 10 on all the other days, 10 plus sometimes, and you're. Even with you don't even have to have a bad attitude, but if you don't have a positive one, you're not gonna make that really big money that some of us do. You'll just get sucked and drained dry.
Show up 15-20 minutes early every day.
You never know when your boss is gonna say, "You get to work."
It's a dangerous industry. You really gotta kind of watch yourself. You have to watch everyone around you, watch the cranes, overhead loads. Every situation has danger present, but it's up to you to make it safe for yourself.
I mean, you'll have bumps and bruises. I don't know how many times I've
You know, went to hit a nail and hit my hand probably 4 times so far, and it just seems that every time you hit your hand, you're going to do it again the next day and the next day in the same exact spot. You know.
Well, I mean, if you get lucky enough to get a job real close to home, you might have a life, but I don't. I live in Olympia and I drive up to Maple Valley every day. So I spend about 80 miles there, 80 miles back. Traffic is hell through Fort Lewis and Tacoma.
You definitely have to find the good balance of making time for, you know, friends and family as well.
As a female, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself 10 times over. It's not like you have to go out there with the crappy attitude or anything, but you definitely have to go out there with the attitude of I'm not gonna take no shit. You have a lot of men will look at you like you're the girl on the site. We know you're not gonna last, so we're just gonna run you down into the ground until you give up. You know, I mean, I can't say that they've all been crappy. I've worked with a lot of really good guys. They've taught me a lot. You know,
being in class tend to help you find work when you're out of work more than you are going to the mixed 2020 or anything. And if you're in class, I'd make as many competent friends as I could that when things get slow and you feel like you need to make some money, you can call your friends up, friends and brothers and sisters.
It's more of who you know that can get you in, and people pull strings and people, you know, bug and you can show up to the job site and some places want, you know, a resume or an application at their office, but
I got on the union website and went from A to Z, called every single interior systems company on the website. Even if I knew that they weren't an interior systems company, if they were listed on there, I called them. And heard back that day from 2 different companies. And basically I ended up going to the first one that called me.
What's the most gratifying thing for you?
for me, being able to, I guess, just be a part of these large projects that are going to be pretty historical, you know, your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids are going to be able to say, yeah, my dad or my grandfather or great-grandfather worked on that or built that bridge or built that tunnel or this or that. So it's pretty great to be able to do that.
I like see, it's cool to see projects all the way through. When you have subcontractors, you see them come in and they come and they go. But with us, it's like I get to, you know, you start the journey and you finish at the same place. It's pretty cool to see what you've done and accomplished.
I love feeling like I've accomplished this, and I can say that I did that building or I did that building, and you know, I met this cool person on this building and they got a job with them now, and that's what I enjoy.
I spend $6 a day on the toll right now, so it's back again to the commute. It's so $6 a day, 5 days a week. That's 30, 60. It's $120
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
So.
Tools are expensive, but if you go cheap, you're gonna get cheap quality work. If you spend a little bit of money on better tools, it's worth it, definitely.
But rain jackets, yeah. I mean, the nice ones would be like $160, from $100 to sometimes $200. You got to get the good stuff. You know, spend the money to get the good stuff, because you don't want to be at lunch soaked to your underwear. I mean, I've been like that, doing siding in the mud, and that makes for a miserable day.
Yeah, that's a thing too, that being an apprentice, first of all, you make less money than everybody else. And journeymen and everybody else on the job, none of them have all those tools that you're required to have. So you're required to have like upwards around $2,000 worth of tools before you can journey out. And you ain't making as much money as all these guys above you, and they'll take your tools, and they get lost all the time. You're constantly replacing them, rebuying tools or breaking. Tool cost is a big factor. I mean, I would say if you got into the union, you're gonna have to factor that in if you want to make it through. And you're gonna have to be real dedicated if you want to make it through too.
Being in this program, I learned that nothing is impossible as a carpenter. You know, you could build anything pretty much. So, yeah, happy about that.
You know, the nature of our work. You are a full-time carpenter. You are a full-time insulator. The difference between a journeyman and an apprentice is that an apprentice is learning. That journeyman is training you. So you start off, learning the basics so that you can become a good, skilled carpenter or insulator. As you work through your apprenticeship, you're going to learn more complex skills and you're going to be more trusted on the job site, so that now that journeyman can put you by yourself. They can delegate tasks to you, and maybe they'll be checking on you, but they are not going to be hovering over you like they did when you were a first period apprentice. You're also going to prove to them that you can work safely by yourself. So once you're able to do that, as I said, you're going to be doing a lot of things by yourself. It does say you're at the bottom of the food chain. Pretty much that's it. But then remember, you're the eager beaver. You want to learn. Ask questions. Show them that you are the right person for them to train you. If you show motivation, my gosh, and you've asked them questions, they're going to take a liking to you, and they're going to be more willing to train you. So accept this as a career so that you can get the best training out there. And remember that whether you're an apprentice or whether you are a journeyman, you always should maintain that professionalism, right? I know that in the past, maybe the carpenters, insulators, the trades have had a bad reputation, but it takes an awful lot of a person to be able to work out in the field, manage people, manage the materials that we're working with. We are professionals. This is your career. Take pride in your work. People will see it for years to come. Your family will see it for years to come. Be your best and do your best. So we have about 6 different training centers all across Washington State. We all have the same training programs throughout, the same policies. So what you need to do is make sure you're applying in the location that you will be living and you plan on working in. So what is the next step? Well, first off, don't quit your current job. This is just an orientation you're attending. Remember, you're deciding whether this is going to be a good fit for you, and we are also trying to figure out if it is a good fit for us, if you are a good fit for us. You're scheduled for the hands-on portion, which is the next step for being evaluated. So check your email for a designated time, and then make sure you actually attend that trade orientation. If your score is high enough, you'll be selected for an interview. You receive a letter with a date and time for that interview. Please do not miss the interview. And as you can see, those with a higher trade orientation score, they're the ones that advance to the interview first. So here's a chart that shows you what the steps are. First off, you apply to the trade orientation. You're going to attend the trade orientation, watch this video, do the hands-on assessment. After you've passed the trade orientation, you'll get an interview. After the interview, you're going to keep in contact with us. You're going to check online too to see where you are at on our ranked list. And again, based on those 2 scores combined together, that's where you go on the list. So remember, after you've attended the hands-on assessment, you're going to be scored. Top score is 100. If you score 85 or above, then you'll have an opportunity to come in for an interview. We will call you in for that interview, and we'll also email you. Once you have been interviewed, your hands-on assessment score and your interview score are combined. Then you'll go on to a ranked list. That ranked list is by highest score as to who will come into the apprenticeship. We will call you when it is time for you to join the apprenticeship. Don't call us. Remember, we'll keep your application on file for 2 years. And I want to thank you for your interest in the Carpenters and in the Insulator Applicator programs.